your components, you're going to want to use layers for that. And then when you're labeling, you could easily use your team name. So if I have two people on my team, I can say person one and then what they're creating, and it could be the wings. And then that would be the layer for that. And I can have person two, and maybe that's their quote. So you're slowly going to overlay all these different pieces using your layers. If you don't see the layers here, it's under window layers. Okay? And then open there. But now I'm going to actually create in Photoshop. So thinking about your canvas, you might want to use the scale in here to figure out your actual height. I don't know if you can see the bottom right corner. It tells me the size of that document. So if I'm giving it a perspective of maybe I have my words here, how much space does that take up on my canvas? And then I'm going to create my document to be 76 by 85 inches in Photoshop because that's how much space I need to create. So 76 inches wide, so 76 wide by 85 high, at 300 resolution. I'll create that. So that represents a square inside the InDesign file. And this is just so you don't overload your RAM because this file right now is 1.6 gigs. And it's only a third of this document. So if we were to have that all in Photoshop, it'd be growing very slowly. So that's where I'm going to create my work. Now, same deal in here, you need to use layers. So window, layers. Windows is pretty good at when you create new components. Photoshop is pretty good when you create new components. It creates new layers for you. For example, I made a text box, there's a new text layer. Whereas InDesign, you need to make the layer first, and then when you're working, make sure you're selecting the layer you're working on. Okay? So please make sure you have your layer set up. I strongly recommend using titles for your layers to make it really easy to use. So I'm going to actually make mine all separate, and I want it to have one kind of for each one. So I'm going to make the layer for each word because then it will let me separate the words more when I'm using those, okay? So something to be mindful of, that you want to actually separate them so you can easily navigate what each layer looks like. So I'm going to do that together. So from my first box, we have and I think my font is very, 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 very small. There it is, super small. 300, have, there you go. So I find it easiest to write each word on its own layer because then when you're actually moving the two, so let's say that's what I have for the first one, you can now have the words really close together in a separate text box. So I'm going to make a new text box down here, and now because they're separate layers, I'm able to actually kind of really cherry pick where that font is going to fall and how it connects, which is if they were in the same, you wouldn't be able to do that. So key layers, please use them, okay?